Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge. This is your reaction to the Ligt Ten Tar press conference for the Manchester City game on Saturday in the Community Shield. And unfortunately, I'm feeling like Beyonce. I'm getting a bit of deja vu because we are officially in another injury crisis. I feel I'm in last season. I mean, show me something new because everything just seems to be the same. The squad's pretty much the same. All right, we've got Xerxes, but Yoro's injured. Amrabat's not there anymore. Varane's not there anymore. And Ligt Ten Tar has just literally confirmed that Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire are all potentially injured. I mean, when you think about it, that's our old back four. I mean, it's symbolic. What are they all doing at the club anymore? Some people would say, but actually Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Lindelof and Maguire was Ollie's fucking back four. I mean, that just, I tell you what, that's telling more stories than Tolkien. It's unbelievable. Those four players were Ollie's back four years ago. They're all injured. I mean, so basically, why are they still here? Injury crisis. I mean, it's speaking more languages than somebody who speaks a lot of languages, isn't it? I mean, it's incredible to me that the whole back four of Ollie is still at the club and is actually all potentially injured. Progress my arse, says Sanel. Henry T, welcome to Members Club. Well, look, I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about. Ten Hag spoke about transfers. There might be a bit of positivity in that. I mean, look, the drop-off from the press conferences on tour, I mean, I'm going to be biased. Some of the questions that Beth was asking were brilliant. The drop-off is there again. Yes, there was a question about will Jadon Sancho play up front, which just seems to be the idiotic British press obsession at the moment. I mean, since when is Jadon Sancho a number 9? But it seems to be the only question they ask at the moment. It used to be, will Maguire play? Now it's, will Jadon Sancho play up front? Like, we haven't got Bruno can do that. Xerxes can do that. Mason Mount could be a false 9. Anyway, let's talk about the injuries because the sad thing is that, and you might want to sit down for this. Last season, our season was decimated by injury. This season hasn't started. Rasmus Højlund, Lenny Yoro, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. 6 first-team players potentially injured before we've even played a competitive game. Now, some people will say it's the training. I think what we're really getting the evidence here is it's not the training, it's the players. I mean, it's starting to be the same players all the time. I mean, whether we like it or not, Harry Maguire's 31. He actually does get injured a lot more over the last 2 years than he ever did. Is he injury prone? Victor Lindelof is injured a lot as well. So, you know, that's another player. Obviously, we know Luke Shaw is injured, but these players are becoming injured a lot. And, you know, it's not only that we can't get rid of them. I mean, so I saw somebody on Twitter saying they're injured on purpose so we can't sell them. They don't need to get injured to stop us selling them. They just need to say, I'm not going, I'm on big wages. So they don't even need to do that. But look, the chat is popping off. I'm not going to avoid it. There's a lot to get into, but we've got to talk about Luke Shaw, haven't we? What I will say is we don't know what the injury is. It's not like he's, you know, broken his collarbone and he's out till Christmas. He might just be, you know, first week back, not responded well to training. I don't know. Ligt Ten Tar did say about everybody who came back from the Copa America and the Euros, so Luke Shaw, Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes, etc., that they're all in an individualistic position. Some of them will start, some of them will be on the bench, some of them might not even make the bench. So everybody is in a different position. The question is, if Luke Shaw is doubtful and will be assessed tomorrow, why is Bruno not doubtful? Why is Mainoo not doubtful? Why is Delot not doubtful? Why is Martinez not doubtful? Why is Garnacho not doubtful? Why are all the other players from the Euros not doubtful, but Luke Shaw is? That's the question. It's very, very difficult to get overreaction because we don't know the detail. Maybe he turns up to training tomorrow. I mean, Ligt Ten Tar said this. He said Maguire didn't play against Liverpool because of a precaution and he's still a potential doubt. We need to speak to Maguire tomorrow, Friday. He then said Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka are all question marks and they need to be assessed tomorrow. So it doesn't sound like any of those are horrific injuries by any stretch of the imagination. But they are all injuries of some sort. And I think that in the case of Luke Shaw, we don't avoid topics here. I mean, apparently Luke Shaw leaks me the team. He never has. So, you know, I do like Luke Shaw and I have defended him a lot over the years. But I'm also a realist and I'm also not a Player FC person. So I would like to say I've got no words, but that's not the way we work on this community. There's a lot of people saying this is a guy who didn't play for Manchester United since February, who somehow managed to get fit to go to the Euros, but didn't actually be fit, managed to get himself fit for the final, goes on holiday, comes back to Man United and has got another injury. And I get it. I can't swerve that. I can't say, you're wrong. I can't. Like, it looks really bad. It looks really, really bad. And I said at the quarter-final stage of the Euros that Luke Shaw shouldn't be there because he's been with England for 4 weeks and he's still not fit. So he never should have gone to that tournament. He should have been not going to that tournament, prioritising the people who pay his wages and the fans that support him the most. But he did go. And he did play in the final. And therefore, if you do that, you bloody make sure that you are fully fit for Man United in their first game, which is on Saturday. And if he's not fit for that, it just looks really bad. Because for all of us who supported him going to the Euros, despite not playing for us since February, there has to be that kickback of you will be fully fit for the start of this season because, you know, you've gone to a tournament that you probably shouldn't have gone from. I mean, basically, it's a bit like a shit sandwich, isn't it? Don't play for Man United, play for England, don't play for Man United. It just looks really bad. And it's hard to defend Luke Shaw because I think he is one of the best left-backs in the world when he's fit. But when he's fit, pisses people off. Because that's like saying, you know, Roy Keane's one of the best holding midfielders in the world if he was in his 30s. He's not. He's retired. So, yeah, it is really disappointing. And I think that, you know, I think we have to just wait and see what the context of the injury is and hope that it's nothing bad. But it's, honestly, for those people getting frustrated, I would just say this. Why are you surprised? Like, Luke Shaw will never play 75% of a season again. He will never do it. He is always going to be injury prone. He's got a very long contract at Man United. You can't sell him. He's on a very good wage at Manchester United. You can't sell him. I mean, I don't know how many years Luke Shaw's got left on his contract, but he is not a player that's going to be running out his contract in the next year or so. So we, again, have another player there that somehow we've got to try and make work. Now, when he's fully fit, as I said, he is one of the best players there are out there. But, you know, I've got to admit it's really disappointing to hear that he's injured because it doesn't leave you anywhere to go. Like, wasn't fit at the end of last season, not fit at the start of this season, but fit for Southgate and England. Yeah, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But I get it. As for Maguire and Lindelof, I think they're injury prone as well. They are two players that can't deal with the demands of the top level. Really, basically. That's my assessment on this. A lot of people say it's the training. I know people involved in the training. I know people involved in the football club. And what I've been told, and other journalists will back this up, there is nothing unique about the way Man United train their players. It's just different to the way Solskjaer did it. Solskjaer was not about sprint, intense. It was about park the bus, get your breath, and then counter-attack. You know, old-style tactics. Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Brighton, Spurs, even Aston Villa, it's intense. Ten Hag has brought that intensity to Manchester United because you need to have it. Some of these players just can't do it. Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, their bodies aren't capable of the way we want to play football. And the one thing I would say about all these injuries is it's the same players. It's the same players who are getting injured a lot. They're not suitable for the way we want to play, and they're not suitable for the way we want to be, you know, how intense we want to be as well. So not only are we stuck with them because of wages and nobody wanting them, but they're completely and utterly unsuitable. And even if they stay, they're not going to be fit that much either because they don't suit the way we want to play. They're massive problems. And I only thought about it this afternoon in relation to Lindelof and Maguire. Over the last 12 months, they've been injured a lot. I mean, last season, I think Varane was available more than Lindelof and Maguire. And that went under the radar because, they don't want to talk about that. Varane's injury prone, get him out of the club, save the wage, get rid of Varane, get rid of our best centre-back because he's on a big wage and he's injury prone. But both Lindelof and Maguire were injured more than Varane last season. And they're injured again at the start of this season. I just don't think they are... They're the wrong side of their mid-20s and they don't suit the way we want to play. I don't know what the issue with Wan-Bissaka is. Could it be because we don't want him to play in the Community Shield anyway because we're going to sell him? That might be it. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it's very disappointing on injuries. If this doesn't scream we need De Ligt now, says Nick James, well, yeah. And LMP says Luke Shaw playing for England. Harry never really missing a game before he'd been told he's not first choice. All unprofessional, get them gone, says LMP. Ineos was to be judged on outgoings, like Nice, big promise, no outcome. The indication of failure will be January, if no business. Glazers, says Tom Everyday. TT, welcome to Members Club, thank you very much. I want Alphonso Davies, says Jack. Man United equals vacation, says Man10. Just on transfers, this is what Erik ten Hag had to say about transfers. He said, when we've got news, we'll give you the news. We're in a good position and we know what we want. In relation to you, when it's the right moment to tell you we will do, you just got to be patient. So I would say in relation to that, bear with me, if you trust Erik ten Hag, then it sounds like there will be things happening. I said this to you last night. I've sort of parked the ambition of having us ready for Fulham, and the club have clearly parked it. In my mind, and I think some of you agree with me, if I run a football club, I want to be ready for the first game of the season, because not being ready for Fulham, Brighton and Liverpool because you might save a little bit of money at the end of the window means that you might drop points. And in a 38-game season, 3 games is a fairly hefty proportion of the season to not be ready. So for me, being ready for the Fulham game was very, very important. But you can't keep banging that drum. The club clearly don't value that. The club clearly value not getting rinsed by Bayern Munich more, not getting rinsed by PSG more, which is fine. That's their prerogative. They own the club. I don't. I personally would have done absolutely everything I could to be ready for that Fulham game. We're not going to be. So I think you've got to park that, realise against Fulham, we go with what we got. And I think towards the end of the transfer window, then we probably will get some of the players that we want. Now, whether that ruins our season, whether we get away with it, we'll have to just wait and see. But it's very, very clear to me that if you're thinking United are about to pull out a here we go, a here we go, a here we go before Friday, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't even guarantee that De Ligt will be a Man United player before next week. I think we've just got to go with what we've got. And as I'll put my trust in what Ten Hag's saying, it sounds like business is coming. And when they've got something to announce, they will do. But as I said this morning, if Sander Berge is the thing we're waiting for, then I couldn't really give a shit. I mean, I'm just not inspired by that at all. I've seen the hipsters and their little clips on YouTube. I mean, fucking hell. I just can't. I can't. But what he did say, and I thought, I guarantee he's going to get a bit of shit for this. He said, the squad's in a good position anyway. We've doubled up in every position. And I thought, hold on a minute. I'm going to wait for the show to talk about this. There is a Leverkusen deadline, Harry. We'll talk about that a little bit later, which impacts De Ligt. Effectively, I'll do it now. So Leverkusen have apparently said that if Bayern Munich haven't bought Jonathan Tah by the end of the weekend, he's not going to go. And Jonathan Tah has apparently agreed with that. So if Jonathan Tah isn't a Bayern Munich player by the end of the weekend, then Bayern Munich will probably keep De Ligt. If he is, then that probably speeds up the deal. So we might get a little bit of quick movement there, I suppose. Which might give an outside chance. No, it won't. No, it won't. I was just thinking, if we got a here we go on De Ligt before... I mean, if De Ligt was in training on Monday, I mean, that's not going to happen. Yeah, forget it. I'd rather have Lewis Dunk than De Ligt, says Elon. Bit of a weird one, that. But, you know, I suppose some people have bad taste. Top 6 and Europa League will be achievable target for Ten Hag, says Nick. I mean, I don't know what you're basing that on. And if this isn't screaming, okay, thank you very much. I've read that one. Casemiro at centre-back, Eriksen, Mainu and Fernandes is who to blame. I mean, mate, I didn't want to say those words. Oh, I'm tired. I'm just so fucking tired, mate. I'm mentally drained. I really am. Who to blame with the super chat? But I literally thought the same thing this afternoon. Casemiro at centre-back again. I really did. I really did. I thought Casemiro centre-back against Man City. And I thought, oh my God, it's like a bad dream. It is like Beyonce and her deja vu. It's, it's incredible. So Pletty has said that Leverkusen have set a deadline for Bayern Munich, which expires today at 11:59. Leverkusen wants planning certainty, but Tar is determined to make the move. The deadline is not meant to affect the player's side and agent. Tar wants to move to Bayern as soon as possible, as De Ligt will join Man United regardless of when in August it happens. As reported, well, I mean, that just sounds like a shit update, to be honest with you. I mean, that sounds absolute shite. So there's a deadline that Jonathan Tar's not going to even... fuck that. What a waste of time. Let's move on with the press conference. Absolute shite story that was then. It wasn't what was reported in Bild at all. Bild put it out that Jonathan Tar was on board with the deadline, and if it wasn't hit, then he was going to stay at Leverkusen. That's not what it says at all. It says Leverkusen have set a deadline, but Jonathan Tar is ignoring it and wants to go to Bayern regardless. I mean, it's just like this shit. I'm not getting excited about that. Crazy to think if United wins on Saturday, United and Liverpool will be on a nice 69 trophies, says Sai. I don't count Community Shields. James Cave says, I think there'll be a manic end to the window across the league. I'd really hoped United would be done by then, but I guess that was naive. And also, Burgess good, even Agate stats down in bad team, says Darshan. Mate, I'm not having this argument. I'm not having this argument. If you like Sander Berge, great, but why are you trying to convince people that he is good? You'll never convince me, and you'll never convince other people, that Sander Berge is the dream midfield signing. Vincent Kompany was in charge of him and didn't even consider him at Bayern. That's how fucking good he is. He's been relegated twice and nobody's tried to buy him apart from Man United. So I'm sorry. You're not going to change my mind on Sander Berge. I think he's absolutely uninspiring. I've never said he's shit. I just think he's uninspiring. And at least, if Agate is a plan A and Zubimendi's a plan B and Ederson's a plan C, I think Sander Berge is probably at least plan G. Should we question the fitness and medical group as part of the injury crisis? Can we trade them, says Roberto Martinez. No, I mean, look, I need to get into the press conference, but there's some good questions coming in. I don't know when you've joined in, Roberto, but in relation to the injury crisis, my theory is it's very obvious what the problem is. People go, oh, it's Ten Hag training them too hard, or it's the medical team, but actually, take a look at the people who are injured. Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw. They're always bloody injured the last 2 years. And what I think it is that they don't suit the intensity of a top 6 Premier League side. I mean, the amount of running Man City and Liverpool and Spurs and Arsenal do is incredible. And to do that amount of running, you've got to train hard. But we've got players who don't suit that style of football, as we know. So if they don't suit that style of football, it's not just passing out from the back or stepping up as a high line. It's also intense running, pressure, sprints. Their bodies don't suit it. And it's the same players breaking down all the time. And look, to be fair, Varane didn't suit it. It didn't suit his body either. The problem is it's the collection of players that we've brought in who just do not suit the way we want to play, and their bodies don't either. So I think that's the big problem. Anyway, going back to Ten Hag's comments here. So basically, I just had someone in the chat saying, dude's just talking. For 10 years, mate. Yeah, that's pretty much what the United stand is. It's talking about football. It makes me laugh that people might stumble in and not realise the concept of it. What did you think we were going to be doing? Taking our tops off and playing GTA 5? I don't know. I don't know, take a chill pill. I'm feeling a bit stressed about all the injuries, to be honest. And I'm standing up, which normally helps me out. So anyway, we were talking about the transfers. Ten Hag was saying that, be patient. We'll tell you when there's something going to happen, which I'm sure I've heard before. I'm sure I've heard Ollie say that. Can anyone remember Ollie saying that? I'm sure I remember Ollie saying, look, me and Karaki, at the end of the day, when there's any, I'm not going to do the accent. When there's something to tell, we'll tell you. It sounds like very much repeat. When there's no value in the market, that was Sir Alex's. But anyway, he said, we will tell you when there's something to be told. But he also said the squad is in a good position, and we're doubled up in every position. And I really, really wanted to say to you lot, do you think we're in a good position and we're doubled up in every position? Because I don't know. I mean, look, you can have cover in every position, but it ain't, we had cover in every position in my pub team. But there's cover and there's somebody who can put a shirt on. Like, there's Man City level of cover and then there's Man United level of cover. I mean, what is cover? So we've got at left back, Mainu, who's not played in 18 months. Luke Shaw, who hardly ever plays as well. Delo can play there, but he's the starting right back. Wan-Bissaka's going to get sold. So fullback's really weird. We've got a 17-year-old in Amas. Centre-back, we've got one player who can play a high line and play out from the back, 3 players who can't, and an 18-year-old who's injured. Holding midfielder is Casemiro, who's had a career transplant and it seems to have lost the ability to play as a number 6. Don't know who the other number 6 is because Amrabat's not here, but Mainu could do a job there, and Collier's a kid. Wingers, we've got about 4 who like to cut in and shoot, but none of them can create apart from maybe Ahmad and maybe Garnacho. Up front, Rasmus is injured and Xerxes not played a game yet. And at number 10, you've got Bruno Mount if he stays fit. I mean, it's not really covering every position, is it? Technically, I understand what he's saying, but it ain't a squad that you go, we're ready to go. I mean, I suppose the best way the follow-up question to that would have been, a good question if I'd have been there or Beth had been there or any of you had been there. When Ten Hag said, we've got a good squad and we're doubled up in every position, the instant reaction question would have been quickly, yeah, but Eric, all right, you've got cover in every position, but so's Southampton. Like, how good is that cover in every position? Is it good enough to get you in the top 4? Oh, he's going to hate you for that question. He's going to absolutely hate you because you've just basically said, has he got a good enough squad to get top 4? What's he going to answer to that question? If you follow up Ten Hag saying, I've got a squad and I've got backup in every position, and you come straight back with, yeah, but so's Southampton, but they're probably going to get relegated. Is that squad that you're talking about good enough to get top 4? Because Man City have got backup in every position and we know it's bloody brilliant. How good is yours? He's probably going to go, well, I'll tell you what then, Eric, you're stuttering. I'll answer it for you. There's no way that squad's good enough to get you top 4. No way. Absolutely not. So, yeah, rather buy no one than buy bums, says Parker. You're nicking my line. I said that this morning. Shaw's become Harry Jones, says Parker. Daniel Winstanley, I'll get your super chat in a minute. If we win the league, Mark plays GTA topless. I play GTA topless anyway. I just need to turn the camera on. Our squad is decimated in most positions, says Daniel. Rather buy no, done that one. Get Pepe out of retirement, says Manton. Should we question the fitness and med group as part of the injury? We've done that one from Roberto. Just going through some other comments from Ten Hag. He was asked about the importance of the game against Man City. Now, I've got a preview to do for the Man City game. I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I think I'm too stressed and tired today. But I've got to really think about that because I just don't know how. I mean, the FA Cup was more important, but I think this game on Saturday is much harder, which shows you the momentum has been popped like a balloon. I mean, I don't know what we do against Man City on Saturday. I just don't see any rhythm, unless we just turn up and absolutely stun everybody. I just don't see anything. I mean, Luke Shaw's clearly not going to play. Doesn't look like Harry Maguire or Lindelof should play. All right, you might have Martinez, Dalot, Bruno, Mainu, Garnacho, but how many minutes can they actually play? They've only started training this week. I mean, Xerxes as well. I think it's going to be a really difficult game. So Erik ten Hag was asked, in your list of priorities, where does Saturday's game at Wembley against Man City rank? And he said, well, look, we always want to win, and there is a trophy at the end of it, but it's also pre-season, and whilst we want to come into the game and be competitive and win, we can't take risks in games like this, which I think everybody understands. So, I mean, it's a very honest answer from Erik ten Hag, because we can't. You can't. You know, if the medical people, who I wouldn't trust anyway, say, okay, Mainu, Bruno, Dalot, Martinez, they can all play on Saturday, but I wouldn't play them for 90 minutes because you've got Fulham on the Friday and it's their first pre-season game of the season. You can't play them for 90 minutes and get them injured. So, yeah, I think this is... I mean, Man United don't play Community Shield games that very often. We used to play them every year. This is probably one of the worst ones I can think of that we've gone into where we could actually do without it. We don't need this game on Saturday. What we need is a game against Lyon at Old Trafford where we can change the team at half-time and, you know, use some of the kids in the second half. It's really not a helpful game on Saturday afternoon at all, in the sense that it's a very competitive pre-season game that we're not prepared for because we've got a lot of players where it's their first pre-season game. We've got a lot of players who are carrying injuries and we haven't done the transfers we want. So I think it's a very, very difficult game on Saturday. And not difficult because it's Man City and it's a game of football, but difficult in relation to how you construct a team without actually getting battered. So it's a tough game. It is a tough game. And all I would say about that is it's not one that you want to duck, but it's one we could do without, which is a weird thing to say. First game of the season. And I think that exposes the problem, doesn't it? First game of the season. Oh no, it's still a pre-season game, but first game of the season, and we could do without it. Already, the season's not even started and we could do without this game because we're not ready. I'm going to go through some of your comments, but let me just catch up on the Super Chats. I don't even think Ten Hag believes that, says Shahin. He was asked about Mason Mount. He said, look, Mason Mount's a high-class player. He brings skills to the team that we didn't have last season. And obviously, those injuries were the reason last season, but this season he needs to contribute and stay fit. And I think that's a fair assessment on Mason Mount. I haven't got a problem with that. Just bringing that in. He said that Martinez will be involved, which is good news. I mean, the reason I mentioned Martinez, and I think the reason he was mentioned in the press conference is because he's such an important player for us last year and we just didn't have him. And then it was this absolute clanger of a question for me. I mean, I think I'm going to do this with every press conference. The worst question of the press conference was asking about Jadon Sancho playing up front. Because we've heard this about 4 or 5 times now, and it doesn't need to keep getting asked every week. What's the obsession with the media and Jadon Sancho playing up front? I mean, you could, out of all the positions that Jadon Sancho can play, up front is the least likely and his least best. Left wing, yes. Right wing, yes. Number 10, yes. But number 9, no. And they keep asking this question about whether Sancho's going to play up front. And I'm like, oh, is Xerxes and Bruno injured then? I mean, why would Erik ten Hag on Saturday go, Jadon, get ready. You're playing up front. You played so well against Liverpool last week. I'm letting you do it again. And he didn't do very well up front because he's not a forward, is he? But we've got Xerxes, who is 6'3" and a striker. And we've got Bruno, who played that role in the final. So why are they asking questions about Jadon Sancho playing up front? It's a bit like me walking in and going, Eric, can I have a question? What have they let him in for? Let him speak. Let him speak, Simon. Thanks, Eric. Okay, get ready for this. Lockhurst and you lot, wasters. I've got a question for you, Eric. Okay. Will Aaron Wan-Bissaka, if he's fit, get writing down this. Will Aaron Wan-Bissaka, if he's fit, be playing at centre-back? What do you think about that, everyone, eh? Hey, what do you think about that, eh? This is why you lot are all dying and we're flying. Yeah, it's just a waste of... Why would you ask, is Jadon Sancho playing up front? Anyway, Erik ten Hag had to answer it, and he said, look, he can play in more than one position. And that was about it. Because there's nowhere to go, is there? I mean, it's a waste of a question. Jadon Sancho playing up front. I mean, he probably will play up front now because we're that decimated. But if Jadon Sancho... I mean, look, it's far from a priority position. It's far from a priority topic for me. But you could read it like this. And I did see someone on Twitter say it, so I'm going to say it. They basically said the fact that Jadon Sancho is being asked about in a press conference this season just shows you the big problems Man United have got. Because nobody predicted that Jadon Sancho would be part of our team this season. And the fact that he is just belies another reason why United are in such a bad position. They're even using a player now where there shouldn't have been a way back. And I suppose that's true. Look, if it works out, great, but come on, hand on heart, I know some of you wanted him back. But as I said this morning, I think there was more chance of Mason Greenwood coming back than Jadon Sancho. And I know what Mason Greenwood did or was accused of doing or whatever. I'm not saying that they're comparable. But actually, in relation to Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag wanted Greenwood back. I mean, Sancho and Ten Hag fell out, and here he is back again. But look, I mean, that's a minor thing. That's minor. I mean, in fact, Sancho is probably a bit unfortunate that he's playing in a position where we actually haven't got any injury problems. We will have Rashford, we will have Ahmad, we will have Anthony, we will have Mount, and we will have Garnacho. So there's a lot, and Bruno, Xerxes, Eriksen. So there's a lot of competition in that. I mean, if Sancho was a centre-back, he'd be laughing. He'd be absolutely laughing, wouldn't he? So, yeah, it's not good. It's not good at the moment. It's deep breath time, I suppose. Transfers, injuries, the game on Saturday. I mean, look, I'm loath to say Saturday is just a complete and utter waste of time because there are some players that matter back. Martinez, Mainu, Bruno, Xerxes. There are others that I've completely forgotten. Garnacho, hopefully, as well. Dalot. There are some good players back that we need to get some game time in, and that makes Saturday interesting, of course. But we are such a bunch of misfits at the moment. It really is just a mess, and it's really hard to find moments of clarity. I think when you're looking forward for a better word, when you're at the start of the season. Like I was speaking to an Ipswich fan last week, and they were saying, we might go down, but we know what we're going to be about this season. We know what the team is. We know what McKenna's plan is. And it's just about how it's going to do in a league we've never played before. So, but they know the vision. They know what they're going to do. And I think, you know, in some ways, the Ipswich, the Crystal Palace, the Tottenham, the Fulham, they're in a better position than us. We might finish higher than all of those, but they know what their vision is, they know what their plan is, and they can sort of go, oh, if we get in the top six, or if we get mid-table, or if we stay up. Whereas for United and United fans at the moment, I mean, there's a lot of people saying we're definitely going to finish mid-table. I refuse to say that. But I'm not going to say we're definitely going to finish top four, which is what I think our aim should be, because we're so hard to predict at the moment. I would challenge any United fan at the moment to actually be sat down and explain why we're going to finish fourth, or why we're going to finish third, or why we're going to finish eighth. Because it's the equivalent of pissing in the wind. Like, you've got no idea what's going to happen. Splash back, splash forward. I don't know. There is very little clarity. And I think that's the criticism as well. It's not just the lack of signing De Ligt or Agate, or not being able to sell McTominay or Wan-Bissaka or Sancho or Casemiro. It's the clarity of the vision that we're trying to project this season. It's so unclear. And that cannot be challenged. You know, you can be called a moaner and impatient because we haven't got De Ligt. Oh, you haven't got De Ligt, you moany little bitch, and all that stuff. Or, you know, oh, you can't sell the player you don't like. I get all that. But you can't argue with the fact that there is no clarity. There is no clarity of vision. There is no clarity of what the team is going to be. It's really, really difficult at the moment to understand what's going on. Hi, Mark. Hope all is well. How important is it for you and the supporters to win the opening day? Does it mean anything to you, the first game? Says Mikey. I think beating Fulham is absolutely essential. Look, Man City doesn't massively matter. It will matter. There will be a lot of fallout if we get battered. But beating Fulham at home, you've got to win that game. There's no leeway. You've got to win that game. I mean, even last season, we beat Wolves and we didn't deserve it on the opening game of the season. So we have to beat Fulham. There is no two ways about it. Ross Gallagher says, I don't want to see Ten Hag get any blame again when the inevitable bad results come in. Well, he will do, Ross. He will do. Because it happened with Mourinho and it happened with Ollie. I've played the game. And so have some of you. I remember exactly this position the season that Mourinho got sacked. Everyone was like, you can't blame it on Mourinho when it goes wrong. The Glazers haven't backed him. Christmas, Jose out. It will 100% be the manager that's the fall guy, because that's just the way we work as fans. And I take responsibility as that as much as everyone else. We're manipulated and we always blame the manager. And it won't be Ineos or the Glazers leaving if this season goes up in smoke. Can we not sell Harry Victor and pay half their wages to buy De Ligt and manage the rest with Casemiro at centre-back? I think there are ways to do this deal, says Suraj. Can we get Rodrigo this or next season, says John. Not heard anything. Thank you very much on that one. A lot of people not happy with Luke Shaw in the chats. Zubamende to Liverpool. They've had a better window than us, says Lihan. Fulham are a good team and they will dominate that midfield next week, says Aligi. Putting the spotlight on Sancho is a smart move from Ten Hag, says Blessed. Rude lurking ready and waiting for November, December after Eric Ten Hag's gone, says David. And why shouldn't Ten Hag get the blame for a bad start, says YSN. Does somebody want to explain that to him? I mean, I don't know where you've been, YSN. On holiday? In a coma? But, even if you just missed this week, you'd understand that we're in an absolutely terrible position for the start of this season. Even if you just watch this stream from the start. What's your starting squad against Man City, says Who to Blame? Well, I'll put that on the preview, mate, because I'm not even sure myself at the moment. I'll have to rejig what I thought. Mark, I saw a clip of that chubby Scouse guy, the one that looks like Uncle Fester. He was saying Zubamendi turned down United. Is that true? Justin, Joe Cole, in his book, when he signed for Manchester United, said, Man United never wanted me, but when I signed for Liverpool, I had to put out a statement to say that he'd rejected Man United. It's been a long-running joke for a very long time that every player that signs for Liverpool rejected Man United. I find it quite funny. Man United, according to Fabrizio Romano, were never concretely in for Zubamendi. And what we also know is that we haven't got the money to pay that release clause, which Liverpool are going to pay. So no, we didn't get rejected by Zubamendi because we never had the fucking money to buy him in the first place. So Liverpool fans can say what they like. They've got a very good deal and they've got a very good player. And on my podcast, which is out now, I actually said that Zubamendi could be the signing of the season. I'm not bothered about rivalry when it comes to telling the truth. But, I don't know why certain Liverpool fans need to, not celebrate their own signing and bring Man United into it. Like, we haven't been rejected by Zubamendi. We're too incompetent to even get in that deal because we don't have £50 million. We didn't have £34 million to buy Xerxes. We had to do it on instalments. So we certainly didn't have 50 million. We weren't rejected by Zubamendi. Eric says, I mean, to be honest with you, I wish we were. I would actually rather we were rejected by Zubamendi than not, because if we were rejected by Zubamendi, I'd sort of understand why he's gone to Liverpool, because I think they've got a better squad and a better team and they're in the Champions League. But I wish we had been rejected, because at least it would show a bit of ambition. We didn't even fucking offer for him. Kevin says, I've noticed in this window something gets done on a Thursday night. Hopefully we get a miracle and get something done today, says Kevin. Have you? Good. Amir says, Mark, I'm taking a piss here, but breaking news. Phil Jones just passed the medical for sensational return to Manchester United. Eric says, Martinez involved. Is it 1-5-4 format? Says Impact Azza. Thank you very much to Justin. Okay, well, I will get a preview up at some point. Steve B says, Busby Babes, Fergie's fledglings. It's a baptism as fire, but we're going to need to lean on Ten Hag's teens. The trouble with that, Steve B, is I'm not old enough to remember Busby Babes, but I am old enough to remember Fergie's Fledglings. And when we brought them in, they played with the likes of Steve Bruce, Paul Ince, Eric Cantona, Mark Hughes, Dennis Irwin, experienced top-class players. You chuck kids into this team, it's tough. It's harder. It's harder because they don't have the players around them. And that's the big thing. Anyway, we are back at 8 p.m. Obviously, we'll be back sooner if there's any breaking news, but we're back at 8 p.m. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Fantastic video, actually. If you've not watched it, please go and check it. It's only 8 minutes long. It's on the homepage. Why the real reason Man United struggled to score goals. Had some really good feedback on it. If you are a United fan, which you should be if you're watching this, and you're genuinely interested in problems beyond signing De Ligt and the midfield, then please do check it out. Lots of you have left your comments on it. It's only an 8-minute video and it details 5 or 6 areas that are factually problems for Manchester United. And I think the 2 things I found very interesting doing the video was the offside thing and the shots. That was a real eye-opener. I knew it was bad. Check the video out, but it's incredible, really. Absolutely incredible. Check it out on the homepage. Thanks, everyone, for tuning. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and we will see you at 8 o'clock. Take care. Speak to you in a bit.